Hello, I am Akshat Jain, student of third year, Institute of Law, Nirma University. My topic for the evidence assignment is the movie Just Mercy, which is a very suspense and evidence-based movie. The plot revolves around when Brian Stevenson in 1989 travels to the city Alabama to fight and help the victims or the prisoners who cannot afford proper legal representation. He, along with Eva Ansley, teams up and founds the Equal Justice Initiative. Then he travels to the prison where he meets death row inmates. He meets Walter Macmillan, an African American who was convicted of the 1986 murder of Rhonda Morrison, a white woman. Stevenson looks over the evidence in the case and discovers it hinges entirely on the testimony of convicted felon Ralph Myers, who provided highly self contradictory testimony in exchange for a lighter sentence in his own pending trial. Stevenson's first move is to ask prosecutor Tommy Chapman for aid. Chapman dismisses him without even looking at Stevenson's notes. Stevenson then asks Macmillan's family friend Darnell Houston to testify that at the time of the commission of the offense of the murder, he was elsewhere with a witness who had subsequently falsely corroborated Myers' testimony, evidence which would cause the prosecution's case to fall apart. When Stevenson submits Houston's testimony, police arrest Houston for perjury. While Stevenson is able to get the perjury charges dismissed, Houston is intimated into refusing to testify in court. Shortly afterwards, Stevenson is intimated by two sheriff deputies who remove him from his cars at gunpoint and illegally search the car. They refuse to tell him why he was pulled over and let him go. Meanwhile, Stevenson's appeal to the US Supreme Court on behalf of another death row inmate, Herbert Lee, is denied. Richardson has been convicted of killing his girlfriend with a bomb on her porch and been sentenced to death by electric chair. Stevenson comforts Richardson during his final moments, then bears witness to the chilling execution. Returning to Macmillan case, Stevenson approaches Myers himself, who eventually admits that his testimony was coerced after police played to his fear of being burned and threatened to have him executed by the electric chair. Stevenson appeals to the local court to grant Macmillan a retrial and successfully convince Myers to recant his testimony on the stand. But the judge nevertheless refused to grant a retrial. Stevenson vent his frustration about the case to Ansley. Then the Supreme Court overturns the Circuit Court's decision and grants Macmillan his retrial. Stevenson then moves to have the charges dismissed entirely. In confront Chapman at his home and tries to convince him to join him in his motion to make the Macmillan free from all his charges. Chapman angrily ejects him from his property. The day of motion comes and Stevenson appeals to the judge. Chapman agrees to join him in his motion. The case is dismissed and Macmillan is finally reunited with his family. It was ended with an epilogue or a message that the prosecution or the forceful punishment which was given to the people from especially from the African community, as we can see that most of the clients of the Brian Stevenson was from the Afro Black community, and they were uh, targeted or they were being they were being the targeted audience who were facing the charges and were giving the death penalty, and they were being sentenced to death, and it was quoted as a free and fair trial, but all the judges and the prosecution and the all the opposite counsels were from the white community, from the police or the law making agency. All involved in this case were from the white community. So they were having a prejudice against the Afro Black community. So it is a simple case that the Afro Black community was being targeted and being suppressed in the society in the city of Alabama. In the case analysis, as we can see that as per the section 22 of Indian Evidence Act, it can be seen that the statement which was given by the Myers was false, and his testimony, uh, which was earlier a relevant fact, but it's now not admissible in the court as he has denied that testimony. Second is the section 45, when the doctor or the expert agrees about the uh, availability, about the chances of him being the killer of Rhonda Morrison. Also, section 7 also applies here, uh, which which talks about the relevant fact. Also, section 65B, which talks about the admissibility and procedure of electronic records, when the Robert Myers transcribed his statement to the police earlier, which he later denied. Also, section 22A, oral admissions of the electronic record are relevant. Section 24, confessions caused by the inducement, threat, or promise is irrelevant, as we can see in the case of Robert Myers, where he was induced or coerced by the police that if he became a witness against the Macmillan, he would be not sent to the death row, rather, he would be sent to the normal jail. Also, section 28, confession after removal of impression caused by inducement is relevant. That's why during the time of hearing in Supreme Court, the evidence of the Robert Myers was found relevant and was helped in winning the case from the side of Macmillan. Also, as per the section 60, which talks about the plea of alibi, Walter can ask for the defense, as Darnell said that he was elsewhere. Darnell was a proof that Walter Macmillan was elsewhere during the time of commission of the murder of Rhonda Morrison. So, section 60 also acts as the oral evidence, but also as a relevant fact that Bill Brooks gave a statement in the lower court that he saw Walter near the body of the girl, which was found relevant as per this section. Thank you so much. Conclusion: this movie encapsulates the fundamental essence of evidence law. It manages to cover all the relevant topics of Indian evidence law, and along with that, also prevents them with a good flow of dramatization. It touches upon some of the most important sections of the Indian Evidence Act. Overall, it is the perfect canvas to study and identifying the basis of evidence law in relation to death penalty and basics of material based law. Thank you so much. I hope my topic, by my speech, I would make you aware about the things and issues involved in the present case. Thank you so much.